Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Uncharted 4 Crushing Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 3, it's called The Malaysian Job, and you're being, once again, heavily tutorialized in how to control Nate underwater. And this sequence is one of my favourite in the game, because not only does it take your expectations, and then it goes a different way with it to show you just how grounded this new story is in people moving on, a thief's end, all of that great stuff, but it's also really fun for an underwater sequence, and an underwater sequence in most games is not the best, you know. It generally doesn't control as well as it could, you're generally not doing anything inspired or interesting, and it's kind of a groan fest leading to the next good part. Remember Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox? Remember those swimming sections? Absolutely terrible. We've come a long way, guys. This is a really, really fun sequence. And it's kind of sad, because you don't do that much underwater stuff, and I thought, with this happening so early, that we were going to need to know how to dive and stuff. I thought there was going to be some underwater scuba divery, James Bond, harpoon gun sequences, and there isn't. So that was kind of disappointing. But we will always have this, and there's a couple of sequences later on where we do a little bit of swimming. Because guess what, folks? There's absolutely nothing of value in this video as far as challenge to the player. This is 100% traversal, adventure, and fun, so I don't have to talk about anything too specific here. So what I am going to talk about is how combat has evolved. And I'm saying that it's kind of a take piss on the old Halo trailer, but in this game, you do not have to fight every single encounter. We finally made it, guys. It's 2016. You now have a choice, and by choice, very rarely you have a choice, and a lot of the times you don't. And you don't realise you didn't have a choice until you stealth past everybody and realised you had to do some shooting. And this is where me and Uncharted once again are on a crossroads, and Uncharted goes one way and I go the other way. The Last of Us was the last game that Naughty Dog made. The Last of Us is one of the greatest games I've ever played. I think it's wonderful in so many ways. It's not perfect, and I can critique it till the cows come home, but one area of that game I always respected was the balance. The balance in The Last of Us is so beautiful that you can stealth areas you didn't know you could stealth as long as you have the right equipment. You can do every encounter in that game without taking any damage. I know this because I did it all the way up till the end, and then I got shot at the end, and I was going to redo it, and I never did. But suffice to say, did that entire game, ungrounded, without taking any damage, up until the final second of the game. You can't do that in this game. You just can't, because of how very different they are. And I was hoping a lot of that Last of Us was going to rub off on this game, and it really has, in all the worst ways. So the first one is grounded, removed checkpoints for difficulty purposes. So this game removed checkpoints for difficulty purposes. They didn't do that with Brutal, that was never an Uncharted thing. I don't know if it was the same between earlier difficulties and Crushing, because I never played them. I've never played an Uncharted on anything but the hardest difficulties. Unless you had to play on something to unlock Crushing, and then I've played on whatever that was. You know, I always have played them on a very specific level of difficulty, so to me, you just got used to it, didn't you? You just kind of persevered, and you did it. Pushing boxes and chests of drawers and shit, anything that's got fucking wheels on it so you can stand on it, is the most arbitrary, generic, finicky, stupid mechanic they could have ever brought from Last of Us to this game. The Last of Us and Uncharted were always separate. That's always kind of the thing. The one thing that was paramount in The Last of Us is at that moment where you think it's going to do an Uncharted thing, and then it didn't. And it was so much better for it, and that's why that was great. Whereas they've done all this Last of Us stuff in Uncharted now, and I don't know why. I was going to try and swim to the surface here, but they want you to always go up on this lift. A little disappointing, but, you know, I like to experiment. And I don't get why. There are so many ways to get these characters to a 7-foot ledge. You don't have to push down this random chest of drawers that was in the jungle and then wheel it up to a wall, you know? It was like the over-reliance of crates to ferry Ellie across water in The Last of Us. The first time you did it, you're like, oh, that's quite interesting. The second time, like, yeah, you know, that's pretty cool. The third time, you're like, where are all these crates coming from? Like, what is this about? And I don't understand why, when you can have a game this beautiful in this many environments where every single detail's been thought of, yet there's this over-reliance on boxes. It's dumb. It's really dumb. And it's in Uncharted now, and I never wanted it to be in Uncharted, because Uncharted, you didn't pull a crate down and push it up against a wall to climb up a thing. You tried climbing, your handhold broke, and then half a mountain fell down, and you just walked up the mountain. You know, it was always about, if you can't get to it, something ridiculous happens, and now you can get to it. You know, some statue falls down, a heaven falls, anything. But now we've got this mundane feature of we're going to push a chest of drawers up against the surface and climb it that way. Whereas, what's the point in having a grappling hook if you can't grapple out?